Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Minneapolis. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Jacob Van Luden, and down in our feature match area we have Brian Kibler versus Valentin Mckel. You see Connley Woods on the back table there. I don't recognize his opponent, but we're going to be watching Kibler, as he described it, play. You know what kind of deck I'm playing. That's what he said when I asked him. So I'm assuming green creatures, maybe Knight of the Reliquaries, maybe Domri Raid, these type of things are going to be present for Kibler. And Valentin, we don't know exactly what he's playing, but Jake, you were thinking that he might be on Tarmo Twin.
Yeah, I mean, he was on that deck in Richmond. He seemed pretty excited about it. And Modern is a format that, as we've said many times before, rewards players who are sticking with their deck choice. So I'm expecting some Tarmo Twin on the right side of the table.
And so far, it does seem to be the case, though I guess there's a few things that could happen here. All right. Yep. So it does look like he is on Tarmo Twin from what we can tell so far. Serum Visions here is going to kick it off. I see some Stomping Grounds floating around there. Although there is a chance, you know, we thought that Shahar might have been on this deck in the round we did previously, but he was actually just on straight Splinter Twin, and they run a few green sources for Ancient Grunge out of the sideboard. But let's see what Kibler's got. He's got a Verdant Catacombs grabbing. We see a lot of his favorites there.
Could be a basic forest here, to be honest. He has a way to search for a Foundry.
Stomping Ground. And that's going to get him a Noble Hierarch here on turn one, most likely. The one-mana accelerators are just sort of a necessary thing for the type of decks that Kibler likes to play. Gets him to 3 mana on the second turn, and he can really power out some sweet stuff at 3 mana.
We could see something like a Knight of the Reliquary.
Is that a Nicodle in his hand?
It is a Wild Nicodle.
All right, so it looks like he's getting aggressive here potentially. His decks tend to be a little bit more along the mid-range end of the spectrum. Here's another Serum Visions, though, for Valentin. And the card he drew off of Serum Visions was Lightning Bolt. He's got to be happy to see that. Lightning Bolts tend to be quite good against Brian Kibler-style decks. You can just take out all their key threats.
Definitely. He has an Electrolyze in hand, though, so.
Okay. This is actually a big decision then. I mean, right now he's scrying, but even after he's done scrying, he's going to have to decide, does he want to play an untapped land to Lightning Bolt Noble Hierarch and keep Kibler off of potentially white mana and or a 3-drop? Or does he just want to play his land tapped and just hope that that Electrolyze will get the job done as the game goes into the future? And it looks like he's going to take that second route, play Stomping Ground tapped, and ship the turn back to Brian Kibler. Kibler's going to crack an Arid Mesa, and there it is. Knight of the Reliquary right on time, turn 2 for Brian.
And that's already a 4/4. Out of bolt range there. Very important.
Absolutely. And that is bad news for Valentin Mckel, as he's now going to have to find a way to deal with that thing. And the Bolt and the Electrolyze in his hand aren't really going to get the job done. So he's going to have to find some other way to mitigate the threat that is Knight of the Reliquary. Though Knight takes a little while to get going. I mean, he can just start cracking in there for 5 damage starting next turn, potentially. Maybe even 6.
Brian does not have a Path to Exile on his hand. So if... You know, Valentin on the next turn just decides, hey, I'm just going to cast my Deceiver Exarch, and so he casts Lavamancer. He did not do that, but hypothetically, he could have just said, here's my combo.
So you did not see a path in Brian's hand?
I did not.
Okay. I think he just drew a Scavenging Ooze here. Doesn't do a lot against Splinter Twin, right? Just like if he has like a random Snapcaster or something?
It's fine.
Okay.
You know, they're going to be killing good amount of your creatures in a lot of cases. I mean,
but it's not exactly a silver bullet. All right, so Kibler's deciding how he wants to do it. This is always an important decision when it comes to Knight of the Reliquary, because what he can do is he can either choose to develop his board further by using Knight of the Reliquary's sort of mana ramp style ability, or he can just start beating down with it. He's going to play a wild Nakatl, though, before anything. And he is just going to attack. So this should be for 5 damage here. And he's going to take it. So Mckel falls down to 15. And a Loxodon Smiter joins the field as well. So Kibler able to not only attack, but also develop his board there, Jake. Kibler looking to be in a pretty good position here early by bolstering, putting out 8 power. Or 7 power that turn.
I mean, it's only the 3rd turn, and you see Brian's side of the board. And I mean, that's what Noble Heart can do.
That's insane.
Yeah. His board right now is a 3/3, 2 4/4s, and a 0/1 that produces a whole bunch of stuff, and basically 4 mana worth of stuff. And it's his 3rd turn.
So Kibler needs to find a path to exile really quickly here, though, right? Because Mckel actually has the combo in his hand.
Yeah.
He's got Deceiver Exarch that he can cast on end step here. Maybe tap down the Knight of the Reliquary or the Loxodon Smiter just to take some a little bit less damage. And then he can just run out Splinterton, which he also has in his hand, and just potentially win the game on the spot. Interestingly, you know, Kibler would rather grab another draw step out of this, but he's putting on so much pressure. I don't think Mckel's going to have much time for that. He might just be forced to go for his combo, which of course is what Kibler does not want him to do here. All right, Mckel's going to crack a Misty Rainforest here. So Kessig Wolf Run in Kibler's deck, just a place to dump all that extra mana later in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, his guys can get pretty out of hand big. So just giving trample to something like a giant Knight of the Reliquary, you know, and those Knight of the Reliquaries become 12/12s.
Right.
Trample becomes an extremely relevant keyword.
Right. All right, so here it is. Deceiver Exarch is going to tap down Loxodon Smiter here. And has Kibler found an answer? Whether Kibler has or not, he's going to have to leave that white mana untapped. As he really just can't let Mckel know for sure that he has nothing to play around here.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for him at this point because you know, he really has to bluff it.
Right.
And I don't think Mckel really has a choice or not to go for it.
So Mckel's looking at taking 7 damage here, which would drop him down to 7. He could take a little bit more damage even if he were to block, but it might be worth it just to try to make Kibler tap some of those lands so that you know the way is clear. Though, like I said, the window of opportunity is closing a little bit for Mckel here, and he maybe just be forced to try to go for the combo, and if he does, he'll just win.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm not really sure where we are right now in the game.
I think that
still during combat.
Yeah, I think Mckel was trying to decide if he should block or what he should do here. He's going to get dropped down to 7 here as he doesn't block at all. And here's another wild Nakatl. And Mckel is staring at that plains. It does not get tapped for anything. He's going to crack Misty Rainforest, go down to 6. Mckel had to be careful there too, right? The Kibler doesn't go like land, bolt, or something like that. The thing is, Kibler's only got 3 cards in his hand. It has to be perfect. It has to be like red mana source, 2 bolts to kill him. So Mckel decided to take it, even though that Grim Lavamancer's not really doing much. And it does feel like he just has to go for it, and he does.
Yep. And Brian with no path to exile.
Yep, and that's going to do it.
Valentin
Mckel takes down game 1 against Brian Kibler. Kibler had really an ideal start as far as you know, getting his threats online. He just didn't draw any of his answer cards.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the issues with playing a deck like a Naya Zoo deck. You know, sure he has access to path to exile in his deck, but if his opponent just goes for the combo, and is playing a combo strategy, then unless he has a specific set of cards in his hands, he's just going to lose. And his opponent won't have to play around things forever because his opponent will be forced to actually just go for it.
Right.
You know, it's not like he's applying that pressure and he has a little bit of disruption. He's applying the pressure and he has a little bit of disruption in the form of, you know, things like Path to Exile and Bolt if Valentin's trying to, you know, suit up a Pestermite. But when push comes to shove, I mean, what he's doing is tapping his mana for a dude.
Yeah, so let's jump over to Connley Woods match here, and there is a lot going on this battlefield here. Jake.
Yeah, so it looks like Connley's trying to go off right now. So he's drawing a whole bunch of stuff. He probably has some mana floating in his pool. There's a pair of Lotus Bloom that came off of the Suspend. There's a Reshape right there. So now he can add 2 blue mana to his mana pool and reshape one of the artifacts that he has in his hand, or what he has in play, and then turn that into, let's say, another Lotus Bloom.
Now, what about his opponent, Chris Kubinis? What is he up to there? Tarma twinning?
It looks like he's Tarma twinning.
And it looks like he's just sitting there right now, just watching Connley go through the motions here. So Connley's got 1 million mana.
Yeah.
So what's the big finish here?
Well, so he's going to Faith's Reward here. He's going to...
Kind of like this.
There are a number of different ways he can do it. Pyrite Spellbomb is one.
And just loop that over and over and over.
Yeah, he can loop that repeatedly.
And that way, if it gets countered, it doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Is that right? Like Pyrite Spellbomb win condition doesn't care about counter spells? Because that's what his opponent's on right here. In fact, I think he's going to Snapcaster Mage the Cryptic Command right now. And it looks like that's what's happening. And there's another Faith's Reward for Connley Woods. So this is with all of that other stuff on the stack. This all gets to come back. Ichor Wellspring, draw. This Faith's Reward and this Cryptic Command are both on the stack right now. And it looks like Connley's fully in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's drawn so many cards that there's not really much his opponent is going to be able to do.
He just ghost quartered his own land. Oh man, I'm just getting shivers right now remembering the eggs.
Yeah, I mean, this is very much
deck.
the same type of combo.
I guess it was 5.
Eggs.
I had a number of close calls that, like, you know, I lost.
Now we have.
That's what the deck feels like.
I mean, this
a lot of close calls,
is just going through the motions, as you guys can see. So Connley Woods deck, it's a Cart Clan Ironworks deck. He's on the right here. He plays a whole bunch of artifacts that he can sacrifice, or do something with to draw cards and add colored mana to his mana pool. Then he can use a card like Faith's Reward or Open the Vaults to return all those artifacts to play. He essentially will end up drawing his entire deck, at which point I'm not sure exactly how he wins, but he might win with a Mirror Incubator. He could win with a Pyrite Spellbomb. The world is his oyster at this point.
Okay.
Maybe if I shuffle them a little more. It's okay. If you don't see it, it's fine.
He went with a Grape Shot if he wants to.
The one that's fucked up.
But this one? Yeah. That one looks like it's like slightly different.
Yeah, it's new. Yeah. Do you have more? The other ones are new as well. That's like the problem.
Can you replace it with like a card in your sideboard, perhaps? That may have the.
Yeah, sure.
That's frequently the problem. Is you have worn sleeves in your main deck. And
So is he a Codex Shredder in his hand?
Yes, sir.
It's interesting.
Hasn't presented yet anyway.
Oh my goodness. So he has just an obnoxiously large amount of mana at his fingertips here. Up to 18 in play if he wants it, plus whatever he has floating.
Pretty absurd. Look at all the fun you can have in Modern. He's now playing, tapping, and sacking Mox Opals just for mana. Hey, look, another one. I want to know how much mana he has in his mana pool right now. Hey, it's Banefire. So
That's the way
what
to do it.
That's what his win condition is.
It's uncounterable.
Can't be prevented. Just dome you for 100. So he had 20-ish at least. And that did it. Looks like the other players, I think there might have been a sleeve issue for Valentin Mckel. I heard Kibler mention something about like how some of the sleeves were new. Is there a sleeve issue there, Randy, for Mckel? Okay, they're getting it taken care of. All right. They're getting that sorted out. That's why we're having a little bit of a delay here, though.
And that back table looked pretty cool. Connley going off with his Car Clan Ironworks deck.
Let's take a look at our upcoming webcast schedule. You can see we've got a lot in store for you in the next few months here, starting off with the Pro Tour. That's next weekend. And then still in Atlanta. The Pro Tour is in Atlanta. We've got a GP in Atlanta the weekend after, which is going to be limited. It's going to be awesome. And the weekend after that, we're in Manchester for block-constructed GP. You know, there's usually only one. It usually follows the PT pretty closely, and then we're kind of done with that. You know, these block constructed doesn't usually have a long shelf life, but it's really exciting when it is there. A couple of standard tournaments, back-to-back weekends, Moscow and then Chicago. Moscow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then it's still going off without a hitch.
And then the same weekend, we've got 2 limited GPs, one in Washington, D.C., and the other one in Milan. So we certainly hope that you will join us for as much of that magic action as you can. I know that everybody on the coverage team in Europe and over here are excited to bring you all of those matches. Particularly Rashad. He's probably the most excited out of all of us to bring you those matches.
It's not even really close.
Not like I can't see anything, but like it is difficult for me to distinguish particular shades of
All right, and we are presenting decks. So
really dark blue.
On to game 2.
we got there.
It was a short game 1 also.
I will choose to play first.
All right, so Kibler's going to be on the play. And he needs a very, very similar draw to last time. He just needs it to also have a Path to Exile or some sort of removal spell that can actually kill something with 4 toughness in there.
Well, it's looking like he has a decent hand. I mean, he has a Bird of Paradise, he has Solid Pride Mage, he has Knight of the Reliquary. Pride Mage is actually pretty relevant. Can chop a Splinter Twin down.
Yeah, so how does that work?
So Kasali Pride Mage is green-white for 2/2 with Exalted. So it's already basically a 3/3 attacker.
Cat Wizard?
Yeah, it's a Cat Wizard. So it's already, you know, it attacks for 1 extra damage the turn it comes into play. It's basically a 3/3 for 2 mana. Just an awesome card. But what's really cool about the card is that you can pay 1 mana and sacrifice it to destroy an artifact or enchantment. So against a deck like Splinter Twin, they play Splinter Twin and they tap the creature, and then you just sacrifice your Solid Pride Mage and kill the Splinter Twin.
And that interrupts the combo enough to shut it off.
Exactly. It turns off the combo, unless, of course, they have another copy of Splinter Twin.
Sure. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that. As you saw in the first game, the key card to look out for Valentin's side is definitely the Splinter Twin, and that was the one that ended it. Kibler's deck is a little more middle ground, a little more consistent than that. There isn't really one particular card that he just has to have, though, as we did see, the lack of Path to Exile in his hand was a big deal. And Kibler's got a Birds of Paradise on turn 1. But Mckel's also got a ton of burn in that deck. I'm sure post-board as well. And he's got a lot of ways to go bird hunting here if he wants to.
Yeah, the bird might get hit by a lightning bolt falling from the sky.
Here's a Scalding Tarn for Mckel. And he's cracking it right now.
And I think that means we'll probably see the bird get bolted.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? And he's going to take 3, though, to do it. So Mckel shoots the bird with his finger. I think he's announced lightning bolt, and there's the bolt. So
I like that.
It does have those powers.
I guess it's 2 damage as well to a creature in play.
You take 3 damage.
All right.
It's not that great.
So, yeah, Valentin Mckel admits that that Birds of Paradise did get in for 3 damage before falling to the ground. But here's a Tarmogoyf for Brian Kibler. So really nice recovery there. It's already going to be a 3-4.
Sure. All right, ready?
Out of bolt range.
That's quite good.
That's quite strong.
There's a lot of
Also, you know, the fewer bolts that Mckel has in his hand means that any future Wild Nacatls will have less to slog through, harder to 1-for-1 against. And Mckel plays a Misty Rain Forest, passes a turn back. So let's see if Kibler can get things moving. He draws a Wild Nacatl. He's also got a Knight of the Reliquary in his hand, though. And there's K'Sali Pridemage. You mentioned it. This is a card that Mckel does not want to see on the battlefield, but it looks like it's going to stick because he didn't kill it when Kibler went to attacks, and he even let the Tarmogoyf swing, which means that the Pridemage is going to grant +1/+1 to the Goyf, and Mckel's going to fall down to 13 here, and Kibler has land Wild Nacatl to follow up as well. So a blazing start here for Brian Kibler. Even though his bird got bolted, it didn't matter. He's used up every mana for the duration of the game, and he's already got Mckel down to 12. With a little bit of combo protection on the table. Now, he felt fine tapping out this turn, Jake, because Mckel can't go off. He doesn't have to have the mana up for the Pridemage. He will not have that luxury going forward, though. And it looks like Mckel's just going to run Snapcaster Mage out there as a potential blocker. And there's another Snapcaster Mage. This one is going to target Lightning Bolt, and Bolt is going to take down Tarmogoyf, which works because the Lightning Bolt itself got taken out of the graveyard. It was representing 1 toughness for the Goyf, so that shrunk it down, and the 3 was enough to kill it. Pretty nice play there for Mckel.
Yeah, understanding the power and toughness of Tarmogoyf and how it can change based on the plays that you can make and the plays that your opponent might make is one of the most important parts about playing Modern. Or an important part.
Yeah, it's an important part about playing Modern. Now, Kibler's going to bash for 4 here with his Wild Nacatl, and it gets in there. That's going to drop Mckel down to 8, and here's Knight of the Reliquary. Again, Kibler doesn't have to leave mana up for his K'Sali Pridemage because Mckel had already tapped out, so he wasn't under threat of getting comboed at instant speed there.
You're fine.
So a Peak.
Peak.
Yeah, now that's the Odyssey art for Peak, I believe. And Peak is an instant. It costs 1 blue, and it says look at an opponent's hand and draw a card.
Pretty sweet little card.
Yeah, awesome card.
Usually we see Gitaxian Probe in that spot because
it can be free.
It's free, yeah.
It's a sorcery.
It is a sorcery, though. And Mckel sees bad news, though. Kibler not only has more threats if he wants it with the second Knight of the Reliquary, he's also got the Path to Exile in his hand and the K'Sali Pridemage. So he is bolstered up from multiple angles, and this is key, he's still applying pressure to Mckel's life total. That's really the big deal here. You can bring in all the sideboard cards you want, but if that's all you do, you never pressure your opponent, you give him too much time to just redraw his combo pieces.
It's important to take action.
Exactly.
In the Modern format. You can't sit around dilly-dallying. All right, so
Mckel's just going to ship the turn back here.
Just passing back and forth now.
Now Kibler has 1 unknown card, and he just needs to decide how he wants to start beating down here. Mckel's still sitting on 2 Snapcaster Mages. He did not block the last time that Kibler attacked with that Wild Nacatl. Offered up to trade, he decided not to take it.
Yeah, and I mean, he's going to have to start blocking here. I mean, he doesn't have many turns left at this point.
No, he's all the way down to 8. He knows 2 of Kibler's cards, Knight of the Reliquary and Path to Exile. How big is Knight right now?
Knight, I believe,
It's either a
is
3/3 or 4/4?
a 4/4.
Okay, but he also has Horizon Canopy sort of looming down there. One of the neat little tricks with Knight of the Reliquary, but it looks like he wants to just beat down for 4 with the Wild Nacatl here.
Yeah. So Exalted Trigger on, and we're going to see a Lightning Bolt here.
Yes.
Valentin.
There it is, Lightning Bolt. So that's nice. Take down the Nacatl, but more importantly, take no damage this turn at all. And now Brian Kibler can play his Knight of the Reliquary, leaving up the other Knight of the Reliquary, which he can use to grab the white mana for Path to Exile or any mana to activate his Kasali Pride Mage. So Kibler's in a fairly stable position here. And he can actually end step use his Knight of the Reliquary anyway without too much fear here. And that's going to grow both Knights of the Reliquary and really start applying huge pressure to Mckel, though Mckel does have a turn or two to try to get himself in a position where he can combo off here.
That's true.
All right, so end step. Stomping Grounds hits the bin. He can get any land he wants. He's going to get a Misty Rainforest, and he's just going to play another Stomping Grounds here. So he loses 1 life, but he gets 2 lands in his graveyard, which are going to pump both of those Knight of the Reliquaries up by 2. So the ball is now rolling for Kibler here, and this thing can get out of control pretty quickly. It feels like he wants to be able to attack with both of them and just start attacking on 2 axes instead of letting Mckel chump block twice and giving him like a bunch of extra turns here. He may let him chump block once anyway. So Kibler found a Noble Hierarch, I think. All right, so both Knights of the Reliquary hit the red zone. Mckel does some quick math here. He's only at 8 life.
Yeah, so what are we expecting here? I mean,
this is 10 damage, at least.
he's going to have to...
I think
Can
he
he
has
try
another
one?
Snapcaster Mage in his hand. So I think what he wants to do is double block 1,
Yep. I can select the abilities. Yep. Okay.
That makes sense.
and then he's going to Snapcaster Bolt that one. All right, so he falls down to either 2 or 3. Oh, it's 2, so there are 4 lands in the yard there. No hurry, though, and Kibler knows exactly what's going on, so he just says go. And Bolt is going to take down that Knight of the Reliquary. All right, so things are,
Yep.
you know, Mckel is staying alive here. He is at 2, though, and Kibler does have 2 lethal creatures on the battlefield right now. Ooh, that was a good draw for Mckel. He's got a Lightning Bolt now.
Was that a good draw, though? It's getting hard at this point.
Will they respond?
He's going
Just
to go
him
for
to survive.
He's going to go for, well, he gets to kill and chomp. Yeah, you might be right. And that's going to do it.
No more shrinks.
All right.
So Brian Kibler is going to pick up the second game, and he's going to force a game 3 here. Back on the other one, I see Connley Woods doing a lot of stuff, and Chris Kubin is sitting there looking at him like, yep. This is so brutal when you're on the other side of this.
Yeah, the combo just takes so long
Yeah,
to
it's
go
just
through
so
the
miserable.
KCI combo. It's just like this. It really is this like slogging of. It's a process.
It's
I
one of those decks-
strongly discourage watchers from attempting to play this deck on the internet.
Yeah, it's funny because it's a type of deck that I really like in concept. You know, like it's a really cool deck. Like you have to be a genius to figure out, you know, whoever built this deck, and you know what I mean, like to know all these interactions and see how all these things come together. It's really cool, but when it comes to actually playing it, it does get a bit monotonous. It really does to to actually have to go through all of these motions and figure everything out. I mean, look at his opponent playing perfectly fair, clean magic over there. He's got a Tarmogoyf. He's got himself a Scavenging Ooze. What's wrong with that,
How do you know
Yeah,
that?
seems good to me. I mean,
I watched a lot of you.
but it's not going to stand up very well against.
No. Even Scavenging Ooze, which you would think would be quite good here, where it can hit graveyard and take out key things that are going to be
You don't
recurred.
learn very much. You don't
I think
nearly
it just
enough.
gets overwhelmed, right? You just don't have enough green
Nearly
mana to really affect
You have
what Connley's
some.
trying to do.
Yeah, it's redundant. I mean, so many of Connley's cards do exactly the same thing once he casts them. So, like, they touch the battlefield, they draw him a card, they sit there, and then he just sacrifices them, they draw him another card, and then he puts them back into play, and
How
all
quick
sorts
is
of
this deck?
shenanigans.
The Clan Ironworks deck?
I mean, hypothetically, like with a perfect draw,
No, just on average. Like if you're playing against it, what turn are you worried about? 3, 4?
4.
4 is the turn. If they get to turn 4, they're going to be in go off mode, and you've got problems.
I mean, if they have a reasonable draw.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
I mean, no deck is just a turn 4 every time, but there are turn 4 combo decks, and I think most of the good combo decks in Modern are turn 4 combo decks.
All right, so Chris exiled something with Scavenging Ooze. It's off camera, but all the rest of that stuff comes back after the open the vaults, which is still kind of hidden down there somewhere.
Only when you activate Splinter Twin.
But Connley's winning this, right? I mean, he's just in
Yes.
full go-off mode, and it won't stop from here.
Yeah, exactly. He's just going to keep going off. He just had 14 artifacts coming to play on his side of the table for that one card. I mean, he has...
Is that good?
Yeah, he has access to over 100 mana now.
Is that good?
That's also good.
And he just needs to find his uncounterable win condition?
I believe that's the case. Oh, he has it. All right, so
Is that
here...
the Codex? Wow.
Yeah, he's using Codex Shredder. He's going to use the Codex Shredder to return the
sweet.
Banefire from his graveyard back to his hand.
Codex Shredder, I
And
like that.
then he's going to kill his opponent.
All right,
Yep.
and that's going to do it. Connley Woods, everybody.
Connley Woods.
Magic the Gathering. All right. So we've got Relic of Progenitus there for Valentine, and that's an interesting sideboard card. Quite good against multiple cards for Brian Kibler. Tarmogoyf, Knight of the Reliquary are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, it's really strong against Tarmogoyf and Knight of the Reliquary. Those things, normally pretty huge creatures against Relic of Progenitus. They don't really do that much. They're not too exciting. Knight can still, provide some cool interactions,
But just doesn't get huge.
yeah, it never gets big. Yeah, taking a look at Connley's deck now. Looks a lot like you'd expect it to.
Lightning Bolt off the top for Kibler, but he's got the Kasali Pride Mage here on turn 2 into his opponent who's tapped out, so he's going to get a Kasali Pride Mage. Not a hyper-aggressive start here for Kibler, but he can start mitigating things. He can use the Pride Mage on the on the Relic at some point if he ends up with a handful of Tarmogoyfs. He can just save it for the Splinter Twin, which is more likely.
Yeah, I feel like it's really important to try to save those, but in the same sense, like you can't.
Yeah, it really just depends on his hand, right? That's kind of the big...
Magic players, if you came here to play Modern, we have a Modern rebound.
Does Brian have spot removal spell in hand?
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. That's
Threads
very,
of
very
Disloyalty is going to steal Kasali Pride Mage.
We're giving away one random.
Ye old 2-for-1 there for Valentin Mckel, and now Kibler's got to try to figure out how he comes back from this. And he can make much bigger creatures than his opponent can, and there's one now. Locks it on Smiter as a 4-4. Wow, Mckel's he's pushing it. That's the last 2 times he's untapped his land and then decided to use his his relic. Remember, you can just use it for free, tap it, and force target opponent, or force target player or opponent, I don't actually know, to remove a card from their graveyard from the game. And
Ooh,
there's
now
a
a
Blood
Blood
Moon
Moon.
now for Mckel, which is going to really put a crimp on Brian Kibler's development. I wonder if Kibler knew that was coming. I mean, he went and fetched 3 dual lands here.
Yeah, he definitely did not see this coming here.
Wow.
I mean, that Path Exile on his hand just got turned off. Now he really only has
A bolt?
a bolt.
Oh,
That's
no.
the only card he can cast in his hand at this point.
Brutal. And no more lands for Kibler in hand, right?
Nope.
How many basics does Kibler run? Like one of each or something?
The list taken away. I think he has plains and a forest, if I remember correctly. Two forests and 1 plains. So
he's kind of in a really, really bad spot here.
yeah, I mean he's got the 4/4. He's ahead on the board. Maybe Valentin just has nothing. You never know. Could be good enough to get there.
Okay.
But it does not seem likely. There he goes.
Go, Loxodon Smiter. Nope, Loxodon Smiter's going to get tapped down by Pestermite, and this thing could be over right here.
Yep.
Actually, that is a Pestermite, though, so it can get bolted, and Kibler does have a bolt. So if Mckel gets a little antsy, he could get destroyed here, but he doesn't. He's just going to attack with Pestermite, play a mountain. Yes, it's a mountain. Spreading sees his mountain.
Yep. Just for the cantrip. Seems to make sense. And there it is.
He actually drew a Splinter Twin here, but he's not going to be able to cast it for a while because Kibler can just sit there and represent Lightning Bolt. But, oh, that's going to change everything. Now Kibler has to have 2 Lightning Bolts in his hand to disrupt this. Do you just go for it if you're Mckel?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right?
I don't know if you have to. I mean,
Like-
he's at 15.
Yeah, but like, what is he gonna do? Double bolt? Like,
That's the question, yes. Well, see, he's not going for it. He's battling.
huh?
I mean, he's also potentially winning this race here. He's hitting Kibler for 3. Kibler's on a 4-turn clock, and yeah, he's just really out-racing him now. Another Pestermite to keep the
Yeah, I guess.
Smiter at bay.
I guess he just doesn't even have to go for it.
No, and here's 5 damage, and he's got Kibler down to a 1-turn clock. Like, this could do it. Kibler's just going to die. I don't think he saw that Blood Moon coming, and it just destroyed him there.
And didn't play choke because
Yeah, sometimes you get-
specifically because you threads to my guy. And if I hadn't played Pride Mage that turn, I would have choked you turn 3, and you wouldn't have necessarily been able to play Blood Moons.
Yeah.
So it was like if that was just a Tarmogoyf you took, I would have choked you and then just played bigger guys.
No, if if you just took a Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, I guess you had Relic anyway, so you would have just cast Blood Moon.
I would like just
Right, yeah. But it was, specifically the threads was like,
Yeah.
on a Pride Mage, it's like, I can't choke you because you just kill it. So I'll wait until I have like a bolt, and then I can play choke. And then I was like, oh no, because I had a bolt in my hand. Like, if I draw another land, I can bolt, then play choke, and then I'm good. And then I was like, no, he's got Blood Moon.
That about sums it up nicely. Just got Blood Mooned.